Hello, hello. Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm Johnny Purple, joined as always by Bo Brock and Frank Sanders in studio, Mr. Thirsty Thursday. Number one is back and hanging with us today.
Hey, look, I am thirsty today too. Look, I played a little golf this morning, and it's a little hot outside.
Golf? No, I don't believe
a
that.
little golf. Yeah, I know, right? I know. It's like, what else would I be doing but playing golf if I can play golf? But it is the valley is kind of it's right. You know, the temperature's rising right now, man. It's 100 consistently right now for the most part. About 1 o'clock, so it's around that window of time, but I'm thirsty right now. I'm really thirsty. And I can't wait. This subject we got to talk about today makes me even more thirstier.
We're still feeling the heat from that rap sheet interview yesterday, Bo.
Absolutely. Ian Rappaport coming on. He had a nice frosty beverage, I believe. We're still trying to nail down what old rap sheet was enjoying while he was talking to us on the show. But it was kind of off. It was after office hours for Ian Rappaport. And you know, he was just enjoying himself, joining PHNX Cardinals as Frank is. Great to have Frank back in the fold, you know, fresh off the links, ready to talk some Cardinals football. A lot to talk about. Like, this is supposed to be the slow season, but we are just like, we're jam-packed today, Johnny.
Yeah. We would not have it any other way. We're rocking and rolling here, and we were talking off air before the show about, you know, we had the rap sheet interview, we had the schedule release, and somewhere in between, ESPN, say what you want about ESPN, they put out some good information. They've got this football power index. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It goes from data, analytics, and basically just cuts through the bullshit and says, here are some advanced numbers as it relates to teams' percentage to win-loss, make the playoffs, Super Bowl, divisional round, all that good stuff. And, you know, we love Pro Football Focus on this show, but if, you know, analytics were, you know, a trend here, the Cardinals aren't a PFF darling per se. Well, in this ESPN Football Power Index, Bo Brock, Frank Sanders, they're a top 10 team ahead of both Seattle and the San Francisco 49ers. This was released, and we're going to contextualize it a little bit just for the Cardinals. This comes from ESPN. Football Power Index. A lot of data goes into this, but in total, they rank them as the 9th best team in the NFL, giving them a better than 52% chance, 53.9 to be precise, to make the playoffs. To win the division at 30%, damn near 30%, I would say that's pretty good odds when you're in a division with the Super Bowl champion, LA Rams, and a team, by and large, San Francisco 49ers made the Final Four last year. Then they give them a better chance to make the divisional round at 32.3%. That's 1 out of 3. If you were to give me those odds today, Bo and Frank, like, you're going to get 1 out of 3 odds the Cardinals are going to be in the divisional round. Hell yeah, I would take that. Conference title game, NFC championship game, obviously drops a little bit at 16%. Super Bowl, right? Not quite 1 out of 10, but just a little, maybe like 1 out of 12 odds. And then winning the Super Bowl, you know, listen, I would say 1 out of 25 sounds about right. So, Bo, I'll start with you. You look at these numbers and what stands out?
Nerds. This is a big nerd stat. This is absolutely what it is. And look, if it's going to play into the Arizona Cardinals' favor, I'm all for it, because I think that the Arizona Cardinals are absolutely a team that's knocking on the door. Probably not a top 10 team right now, just like they were at this point last offseason. They are a team that a lot of things have to go right for them in the regular season for them to become a top 10 team. And they certainly did. They were a top 5 team. They were in the discussion as a top 3 team at one point last year until the wheels fell off. But what is Football Power Index? Measures the team's true strength on net point scale, expected point margin versus average opponent on a neutral field. You know, all those like big time nerds.
Get my glasses on, all the nerds here.
Exactly. But look, are the Arizona Cardinals a top 10 team? Look, it's a talented roster. I think that they have talent all up and down this roster. But to say there you go, Johnny. Johnny's playing the part.
We'll put my nerd cap on here. Where's my calculator? I want to get these advanced stats here for the podcasting people. But no, continue on, Bo.
But I love that you can kind of sift through the BS. You can sift through people's opinion. You can sift through, you know, where the biases are, because it's just cold, hard numbers. And when you look at what the Arizona Cardinals have, they have talent They have it across the board. I mean, I can name. This is not going to be me going through their depth chart. It's Kyler Murray. It's James Conner. It's DeAndre Hopkins when he gets back. Hollywood Brown, Zach Ertz, Trey McBride. They've got a decent offensive line. It's not terrible. And then on the defensive side of the football, J.J. Watt, Marcus Golden, Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, Byron Murphy. You have a lot of talent in the development also that you're going to rely upon as far as Zaven Collins. Happy birthday, by the way, and in Isaiah Simmons. It's going to be the Arizona Cardinals have talent across the board. They have impact makers, and in a cap league, they're on the outside of like the real contenders. But as far as in the conversation for a top 10 team, I can follow this football power index and see how they got there.
Someone spiked the Kool-Aid, man. Bottom line. There's no way in the world that you're gonna say this team here is a top 10 team. I like the name that you called out, but in reality, like this, I'm not sold that we fixed some of the problems that we had. We didn't fix our defensive line. We still got problems in our linebacking core. They're young. They still got to get together. But maybe they see something that I'm missing. I mean, there are options. When initially I thought that this is the same team that was considered to only win no more than 9 games this season, though. Can you get to the playoffs after win if you just win 9? Can you really be the darling of the NFL at least in the top 10 if you potentially can only win 9 games? And that's what was projected for this team to kind of come out, considering I think that was where we was right after the draft, and they had that idea that this team was not well put together in the mindset that what other teams had done. We had not gone heavy in free agency, and we had done not much when it comes to Kyler Murray in that conversation of where was he mentally and emotionally without his contract. So the idea that we're in the top 10 right now, I'm gonna need some more analytics for this or more drinks.
How many? Yeah, for sure. How many teams make the playoffs now? Is it 7 in each conference now? There's the 4 division winners, 3 wild card teams. Does that sound right, gentlemen? So 14 teams make the playoffs. So you would say definitively, 9th, the Cardinals are a playoff team. I saw something pretty encouraging this afternoon. It doesn't have to do with this football power index, but Pro Football Focus, our friends there, Sam Monson, friend of the program, we had him on earlier this week. They put out a graphic today, and it had the 5 best quarterbacks under 30 in the NFL. Kyler Murray was not part of this list. That's not what I was, taken back by. All 5 were in the AFC. Joe Burrow, in no specific order: Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Zach Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, or not Zach Allen, Josh Allen. All 5 come from the AFC. So I think even if you're not buying this football power index, even if you think the Cardinals have holes, they have a differentiator under center that 90% of the teams in the NFC just do not have. This was a shit quarterback class. This was a shitty free agent quarterback class. When you've got the Commandos, whatever the hell that is, trading for Carson Wentz, who Jim Irsay couldn't ship him out of town fast enough. If you're Carolina and you feel like, well, our team's pretty good, we got Sam Darnold, maybe Baker Mayfield. I saw an article headline before this show, gentlemen. Seattle, right now, Geno Smith has the lock over the edge over Drew Lock to be the starting quarterback. That tells me all I need to know. So even the Cardinals schedule is brutal, right? They've got issues at depth, defensive tackle, outside linebacker remain concerns for me, backup running back. But if Kyler Murray, and we've said this over and over and over again, if Kyler Murray plays 17 games, number 1, he will put up historically great numbers. Number 2, they will make the playoffs. I firmly believe that. You get number 1, K1, for a full season, not missing quarters, not missing games in November, right? You don't have that luxury this year anyway, because the second half of your schedule is brutal. But Bo, I believe like the football power index is probably saying, yeah, they're missing some key players, but Kyler Murray, when he's on, is a top 5 quarterback. And of course, that's good enough for a playoff spot.
And not just Kyler Murray, but that offense. When you look at how they break down where, most of the production is going to come, is it the offensive side of the football? Is it the defensive side of the football? It's on the offensive side of the football where, offensively they give them a 3.5, and in defense, they're just above 0. They're 0.8. They're almost at a 1. So they're expecting that this offense is going to be what's going to carry this Arizona Cardinals team in 2022, and it absolutely has to. And I think that those numbers have to increase. Like the projection, they have to best these projections. They have to be an offense that comes out, and they have to be better. They have to be elite, because I see the Dallas Cowboys ahead of them, and they get they lean heavily on their offense. And the Arizona Cardinals need to become one of those teams. Like that just needs to be their calling card. What they've invested in that Like Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, James Conner, Zach Ertz, DeAndre Hopkins, all the draft capital, beyond the first round. It has to be that offensive side of the football that is going to get them to where they want to go. And then look, if they can play a little bit of defense and they can make some tweaks, that's all gravy. But look, your offense with Kyler Murray, that's got to be it. And that's what the expectation is. It looks like through these nerd numbers.
I think offense win championships anyway. So
I agree with that. Frank, you're making all the sense in the world.
Offense win championships, brother. And that offense is loaded with a bunch of talent. Hopefully these guys can stay healthy. DA on the program always says what we need, a little bit of luck, and that's health. And you need guys that, man, to be kind of peaking at the right spot. And those are the two things that I can agree with this team based upon that. This team has been tested, tried and true in a lot of areas, honestly. As a young quarterback, from in his third year, he had a chance to go to the playoffs for the first time. And those are things I think you get to learn with the young guys that you got. And I think this team right here with the good veteran leaderships that we do have in certain spots and areas, in the back end of our defense, definitely J.J. Watt brings. He's the ultimate, Captain America on a football team without a doubt. And then everybody else that we got on the offense, this team does and has the potential. By chance, question, guys, and the FBI idea, did they mention by chance anything that the coach, Cliff, in the coaching process and his maturing process? I think that would be something that maybe would add to that 10. Are the coaches considered in this in the FBI position? Or
I
no?
have to believe they are, like coaching history, maybe like strength of schedule, division. I think it probably plays into the fact that the Cardinals play their schedule based on a second place schedule because they finished in the division last year. But I don't know if they like take Cliff Kingsbury's like coaching record historically. All I know is this, they have almost identical win-loss projections of a year ago. And I think a lot of people would argue the team was better last year. To me, that's a positive because it shows renewed belief in Kyler Murray. It shows renewed belief that, Cliff Kingsbury is not everybody's cup of tea, and we get that. But he made the playoffs last year in a division that was historically great, in a division where the other two teams in your division went to the NFC Championship game, right, and embarrassed people along the way. So, and beat Tom Brady and beat Aaron Rodgers. Like, those are teams that you went 4-2 against last year. So, I go back to the notion, Bo, like if Cliff Kingsbury is coaching in the NFC East, or if he's coaching in the AFC South or something like that, like, is Cliff Kingsbury just like one of the guys ingratiated? Like, he's a good coach, above 500. Like, it's not Bill Belichick, but man, he's putting this wood chipper with Pete Carroll and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, two of those guys we feel like are Hall of Fame locks. To me, it's not fair for Cliff. He's not perfect, but it's not fair.
I mean, it's tough. He's facing an uphill climb every year, and especially with the fact that he's going to be in McVay's shadow. He's the reason he got the gig overall was because everybody wanted to find their own Sean McVay, and they bring him in where he has to face Sean McVay twice, and so far Sean McVay is his daddy. And like he has one win, Frank. He's got one win over Sean McVay.
Sean McVay is a lot of people. He's got a lot of illegitimate children.
Oh my God.
He's Bruce Arians' daddy. He's got a lot of kids.
He's got a lot of kids.
But and that's tough. But the Arizona Cardinals, look, they took care of business 4-2 in the division last year overall. And that's fine. But looking at this overall, as far as it's going to come down to, especially after a slow off season where the biggest moves they made were to retain talent. It's going to come to Cliff and these guys developing their young players like David Collins, Isaiah Simmons, Rondale Moore, who I think we're going to talk about here shortly. Like those guys need to take a step in a positive direction. And also your stars have to play like stars. Like how much weight are they putting on the shoulders of a 33-year-old JJ Watt? Like that's going to be big for this team. And it's just, your margin for error, Frank, it's very slim, if not non-existent. And we saw that last year, but they're going to run it back. And I think that's where people are a little concerned.
Real quick, do you guys believe our back end, our front end of our schedule, the first 9 games is tougher than the back end?
No.
Where we can on the back end, like we struggle on the front end, and then on the back end we really start kicking a lot of butt, and then it really shows up.
They struggle on the front end. The season's over. They need to go 6-3 in the first 9 games. When you got teams like Seattle a couple times, you've got Carolina, Philadelphia, winnable games at home. Thank you, Leah. We look at the back half. I mean, let's be honest. Is it a gauntlet outside of a little tasty layup on New Year's Day against the God, who's even quarterback in that team? Marcus Mariota's Atlanta Falcons. You've got Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, a playoff team last year in San Francisco, Justin Herbert, Bill Belichick, and the Super Bowl champion Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford-led LA Rams. So, the Cardinals need to stack some W's in the first half, and I think they can. They scheme really well coming into the first half of the season. I think they're going to beat Kansas City in Week 1 because of that. I'll go on the record right now. I think there's a good chance they start 2-0 playing the LA Rams, kind of like a year ago when they were both 3-0. So we'll get to that. But Frank, to answer your question, I think they're going to stack some W's here in the first half of their schedule. Speaking of schedule, Bo, you tweeted this out right before we went on air. This broke. The Arizona Cardinals have revealed their preseason schedule. If you're into that kind of thing, which we very much are here at PHNX Cardinals, all 3 games, Bo, in the AFC. We've got the Browns on August 12th, the Ravens on the 21st, the Titans last year after that ass kick.
Bengals. I'm sorry, it's the Bengals.
Bengals, and then we see the Bengals. So anything jump out to you guys, Bo, when you saw that? Is that a thing where you don't play any AFC teams or what?
I just realized that was my fault. I tweeted out that it's the Bengals. It's the AFC team that represented the conference in the Super Bowl. So they open up against the Bengals on the road in Cincinnati, and then they take on who was it?
Ravens.
I don't know. Ravens. You got Lamar Jackson at home, and then you got you go to Nash Vegas. You take on the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. So yeah, I don't know. What was the question? My
question was, is this a thing where they always play AFC teams now in the preseason? Like you play?
I don't know. Are they getting away from trying to teams that you don't want to see it repeat in the regular season? Maybe.
Well, hopefully. Remember they used to always play Denver like 10 times in the preseason. Yeah. They played the Chargers or the Raiders. Frank, you know about that.
I remember
about that East Coast slate.
I remember that very well. Very well. Well, you try to balance it out between, at least getting your fans acclimated back to the NFL in that regards, and then of course preseason, we're missing 1 game now. It's 3 instead of 4, which I do like. But just look at the names that we're facing, man. This is, and then our schedule right behind that. it's as if the NFL said, "I promise you, you're not going to the Super Bowl this year."
Well, or you're going to have to earn it.
I promise you're not going. God dang!
All right, so here's
schedule, man.
Well, before we get to that, here's the offseason schedule, which is worth noting because next week, big week for the Arizona Cardinals, the 23rd to the 25th. Note the word voluntary, guys. Voluntary OTAs. We made this graphic once upon a time before Mr. Number 10 got himself suspended. So please take note of that. But OTAs open up next week. Then June 1st through the 3rd, we continue all the way to June 9th. With OTAs and then mandatory minicamp. So Kyler Murray is going to report no later than June 6th, we assume. I think, Bo, we talked about it yesterday with Ian Rappaport, friend of the program now, shameless plug. If you want to see that interview, it's back up on PHNX Sports on Twitter, that I think Kyler Murray shows up in OTAs next week. Hollywood Brown, Olive Branch. If I'm Hollywood Brown, I'm trying to get paid. I'm trying to get extended, right? Acclimate myself to a new organization, a new team. You best believe Kyler Murray is going to come hang with me. I'm not, with all due respect to Colt McCoy, I'm not showing up for Colt McCoy throwing me, little Tweety Bird passes. I need the rocket.
Yeah, and I think there's an understanding between Cliff and his veterans, and Cliff is a notorious, players coach that these guys need to show up for some of the voluntary work. Go in there, and obviously you're going to have guys that are superstars as far as behind the scenes, like JJ Watt, and they're going to put in all the extra work, and they're going to be there to be mentors. And then you got guys who are putting the work on their own time, and Kyler Murray. And I think he'll come in and he'll do a voluntary, and then of course he'll be part of the mandatory. I don't see this as a big issue. It seems like the two sides, Kyler Murray, the Cardinals organization, have an understanding as far as what's going on. If he's out next week, we could have a different conversation, Frank. But I think that he'll be there, and he'll be throwing some passes. Maybe Hollywood Brown wears that red visor, that sick red visor he put on Instagram, and we'll all be giddy about it.
Look, like Jalen Blair just said in the chat, man, hey, 100% I agree. He's not showing without a contract. And I think consistently you, Bo, spoke heavily that the Cardinals will get this deal done by when? June-ish?
June, July, this summer, before the season.
He's not coming to camp unless he gets his bread. If he don't get his bread, there's no OTAs, voluntary.
Come on, Frank. Come on, Frank.
Well, I'm not showing, man. I'm not coming until I get my money. Like that's, I hate to say that. I know the conversation.
What about Hollywood Brown? What about Hollywood Brown? You're gonna leave Hollywood Brown out to dry?
He's damn right. Yeah. He know what this is. If I don't get paid, man, I'm not coming. And I think that it bodes well in the conversation that says, look, you want me, you'll sign me. And it makes no sense for me to come out to practice. I get rolled up, somebody destroys my ankle, and I'm out for the season. And next thing you know, you don't want to sign me and get my money. Then that's some bullshit.
I think he'd still get paid.
There's no way he's going to get rolled up. Nobody's going to come within. It's going to be social distancing practice. It's all
stand around. Just hang out.
He got hurt in one game running out of bounds, and we didn't even know he got hurt until Johnny reported it that it came out that he came out limping.
Oh, that's nice to say. Hey, I want everybody in the chat to post whether or not you think Kyler's coming to OTAs next week. We've got Jose saying he will show. Clay Combe with a great line. Cliff cell phone break Kingsbury. Remember that? That was hilarious. Anna's asking us, what do you guys think about that Jeremy Fowler report about Kyler? Bo, did you see that? Basically reinforcing that he's not coming unless he gets paid.
But that's just like the Tom Pelissero tweet. It's all speculation. Like there's no concrete evidence that says he's not going. I don't think we're going to get to that point where
you think he's going to get extended next week.
No. But okay. I mean, as far as OTAs, it's like if we get down to training camp and he's still waiting for his new deal, then we'll start to really. Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think that's what Fowler said. I think that's what Pelissero said. When we're looking at this stuff, I mean, we're seeing Frank, Kyler Murray was out there hanging out with Justin Pugh and Zach Ertz at the UFC event downtown Phoenix. Like, I mean, I don't think he's making those public appearances if he's just going to no-show when everybody else is showing up for work.
I mean, but the optics is that I'm here. I'm doing my part. I'm around. I'm here
just
for the Valley.
I'm here for the city.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not the same, man. You can get hurt standing around. You don't want that problem.
You can't.
Trust me, you don't. You can't. Yeah, you can get hurt, man. He's a young.
Maybe if you're me, I'm 34. I tear an ankle just playing with my kids. But Kyler Murray, we're about to pay him generational money, and we got to worry about him just standing around at OTAs.
Look, I'm telling you, man. You have to stand your ground in regards to contract negotiating with a team that says they're going to sign you and you don't get the money when you're supposed to get the money. You want me to practice. You want me to play. Has he been to practice at all? No.
He has not shown up.
Not at all. He has not touched the facility in that regards. And the reason
we had that one video, Bo, of him working out with JJ Watt. When was that?
He was wearing his short shorts. He was hanging out with JJ. They were having a grand old time. Like, you don't do those things if you're gonna hold out. Like, you don't do everything but show up for practice.
I would only agree to that. I'd only agree to that if we can look at his contract and it says that if he has a workout bonus. If he has a workout bonus, that means
I don't think Kyler cares about his money this offseason.
So thank you.
Pennies on the dollar.
And so if you saw him doing a little workout, that's fine. But I mean, that to me, I'm just surprised. I mean, no, we're coming down the stretch, and again, we're trying to develop our team. I think that they have to get the deal done before we really get into that mandatory process of conversation, saying you want him there. If that does not happen, guys, I would be absolutely surprised that he showed up at a mandatory camp without a new contract. I would be surprised. I'd get a K1 tattoo on my butt cheek. No, I'm just playing.
No, let's not do this. We don't need TMZ running with this. Good hell. We've done that before. We've seen how it worked out. I love you, Frank.
We have seen Kyler throw passes to Hollywood. They've been hanging out in Dallas. What's the difference? You're just wearing your team colors in Tempe. It's just different. You can get hurt doing that. I mean, I saw somebody in the chat saying, we saw Tariq Cohen, poor guy tore his Achilles yesterday on Instagram. He was working out. Same thing could happen to Kyler. It's not like he's not working out elsewhere.
No, I agree.
Calvin Lewis.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, let's not talk crazy about hurt. I get like quarterback hurt. Let's not start those cheeky moments.
Calvin in the chat. I would listen to folks that have played before, insinuating Frank played. Well, you know what?
For
I can
sure.
go get my high school football jersey on
Oh,
right now,
boy.
Calvin.
I mean, we
I
played
can
before.
start. I'll start running routes right now in my backyard. Let's see. So I think it's pretty much split here in the chat that he shows up, that he doesn't. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm on the record. I think he's going to show up for his boy, Hollywood Brown. But in the meantime, I bet he's watching the NBA playoffs, and you guys should be too on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, a nonstop party at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on any team to win, get $150 in free bets if they do. Looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the NBA playoffs with DraftKings same-game parlays. You can do just that. Create your own parlay by combining multiple bets like which team will win, total threes made, total rebounds, and more. And boom, you've got a shot at an even bigger payout. I think the Celtics roll. Take the Celtics money line tonight in Miami. Right now, all customers can place the same game parlay with 3 or more legs and get a free bet back up to $25. If one leg does not hit its call to action, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code PHNX. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code PHNX only at DraftKings. 21 and over, Arizona only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEW-STEP. New customer only. Minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for more details, Bo.
We saw some video recently of second-year wide receiver Rondale Moore out on the field, getting some reps out there, looking fast. Look at Rondale Moore. He's got the new braids going on.
Calvin, that's what I look like in my yard, my man.
About the same height, 5'7", but can Johnny do this? Throw it down, young fella.
Hey, look, I'm so excited about him, man. Like when I say this, I honestly look forward to seeing how well we use him and what he brings to the table. He just, when you watch his highlight film coming out of college, a little bit less than 1,300 yards. The guy got all the moves, off on. He gave him an off step. Now, you typically do that when you're running a post route, which you can see he did that. Look, the hops, the agility, the ability. Man, I am looking forward to him having a great season. I think he is easily a 1,200-yard receiver, at least 7 to 10 touchdowns without a problem. If we find a way to get the rock to him, he's explosive. He doesn't need a whole bunch. I mean, when we look at Cheetah, you're talking about 4.2, 4.3 speed at an elite level on football. We're talking about Rondale Moore, brother, 4.1. Have you seen him when he get the ball in his hand? I mean, just his ability to be elusive, his ability to get the top end speed pretty fast. If we get the ball in his hand early and often, I'm pretty sure you'll see this guy without a problem. I think he got 1,200 yards in him easy, 7 to 10 touchdowns. That's on offense. If we get him in, how's Hollywood going
to get his 1,200 yards that I'm guaranteed?
This is an air raid. You got a lot of you throw bombs.
All right,
it's the air raid. It's not the running offense. It's the air raid. Throw the shit out that ball. We had a tight end that caught 75 balls last year. A tight end, 75. We had our second receiver caught 75 balls and or 55 balls, a little bit less than 800, a little bit less than 900 yards. I mean, we're talking about if you get the ball, this offense gets to rolling. Remember what Christian Kirk said last year, and Bo, he said this honestly. The standard is the standard. They was averaging 30 plus points a game at that time. They were trying to get to 40 points a game because they believed that was in their offense. And I think we've upgraded our offense with the power and ability to do that.
I love how there are people real quick in the chat just using this to drag Andy Isabella. All right, go ahead, Bo.
They've only scored 38 points under Cliff. That's the team high under Cliff Kingsbury. No 40 burger for Cliff in the Arizona Cardinals yet. It's got to come at some point. But as far as Rondale Moore, we saw him a couple of times, like week 1 against Tennessee. You had the Kyler just mind-boggling play where he gets out of the pocket and he makes a throw downfield. You got the 77-yard touchdown. It might have been burnt toast against Patrick Peterson. And then you've got in that game one of the best catches of the year by Rondale Moore where he toe tapped. Was that against the Vikings?
49ers.
We saw him. Was that the Niners game? Okay.
Yeah.
But regardless, the few times we saw him run routes past the sticks, he looked good. We just didn't see a lot of it. I was seeing more of it.
We saw the offense start doing some rinky-dinky stuff. Remember JV? All he would do is this little
horizontal bullshit.
They'll motion him, let him do that little roundabout behind the quarterback, running back bull jive. And next thing you know, and then he just runs to the sideline and stand there and wait. Like that's not being creative, Cliff. It's just not being creative. Johnny was pissed last year. I was pissed. So get your shit together because you got to be more creative. And Rondale Moore has the ability. Look, Cooper Kupp caught 140-something passes last year, and all they did was move him around consistently and put him against guys that he could dominate. And I think we have that ability in our players. Hollywood could be the same. We could move Hollywood the same kind of way. Of course, we consider him a deep threat, but I believe we're gonna see 2 receivers at least this year, at least 2 receivers with 1,000 yards, and then we should see our tight end close to the same number as 1,000 with those guys as well.
The only concern I have with Rondale Moore is health. He hasn't been healthy since 2018 at Purdue. If he's healthy and if Cliff Kingsbury uses him vertically, the sky's the limit. And he is not a gadget player, but they have to prove to me that they're going to use him that way. I do defer to a bigger season for Hollywood Brown just because he was the number 1 receiver on another team, on a playoff team a couple of years ago. He had over 1,000 yards last year. He's done it, and he stayed healthy. I mean, he's got this narrative that he can't stay healthy. He's missed like 2 or 3 games in 3 years. I mean, he is somebody I think will sleepwalk his way to 1,000 yards in this offense. And part of it, too, is because of his rapport with Kyler Murray. I think that's a big deal. Rondale Moore, like, I don't know what his route tree looks like. Whatever pass he just caught in practice, it was probably like a slant or a screen or something like that he's just running home to dunk over the end zone. But to me, if you can put him in a position where you're getting him on a 3rd or 4th corner, there's nobody in the NFL that can cover him like that. That's when this offense will be at its deadliest. When you can split out Hopkins and Hollywood Brown, and then on the inside have a little bit of Trey McBride, Zach Ertz action. With all due respect to AJ Green, please get to the sideline, and Rondale Moore underneath. To me, that is Rondale Moore on CB4 for Seattle or the Niners. You give Kyler Murray ample time, Bo. That's when this offense will be back to 30-plus points per game.
If Rondale Moore makes the jump that Frank thinks he can make, I mean, that's something I don't think
this
anybody
team's winning like 12 games
is expecting.
That happens.
Oh, yeah. Nobody's expecting that. If you can get that type of production out of your wide receiver 3, but also, as I saw in the chat, your 4th option in the passing attack. And speaking of, you can get AJ Green off the field because you can use with those 2 tight end sets. You could actually put Zach Ertz. He's big enough to play that X. Am I incorrect by saying that, Frank? I think he could play a little X out there for the Arizona Cardinals with that big body, or Trey McBride, whoever you feel more comfortable with. But it's pretty crazy. I'm getting borderline giddy talking about all these weapons that Kyler Murray has. Why wouldn't you want to show up to OTAs and just throw the ball around with your buddies out there?
I'm going to show up when they cut that check. I'm on the first thing smoking out on the field. But I agree with you. No, we can move these guys around, and we the idea right now in the NFL is you get your talented athletes just like in the NBA right now, right? It's all about matchups, right? You get your most talented guys, the most athletic guys, the ball as best you can. But what you got to do is you always go against the other team's weakness. You find their team weakness, you find what your guy does well, and you exploit the other team's weakness. And I think we have a lot of guys that we can do that with. Is it impossible to see Zach Ertz or Trey McBride line up outside as an X receiver, and we go a 3-by-1 set on one side of the field, which you have 3 receivers on one side and the tight end on the line on the outside standing up? No, that's not impossible. You get a rinky-dink linebacker out there and think that he can cover him, run a slant route, run a go route, and use you guys wisely. We just got to see the creativity in this offense, man, that would allow it to happen. We saw so much in the first 8 games or 10 games of the season, JV, and it was there. And then once D-Hops got hurt, and coach admitted it, he didn't get better in his game planning with the offense as the season progressed. And unfortunately, we became stagnant, and teams realized that. So I think we got better offensively, athletically, with ability across the board. Keeping JC keeps our running game intact, which means you can't keep bringing men in the box, and I think that's a great thing. But Kyler Murray could have 4,000 yards passing. Is that too much to ask for? No.
He hits that every year if he stays healthy. If he stays healthy, he'll hit that, and he'll have between 500 to 700 yards rushing, and I would say reaching 40 touchdowns, and that will put him right back in the MVP race. Had he not missed 3 games last year, and he wins all those games and piles up a bunch of gaudy numbers, like he would have broken every major record a Cardinal quarterback has had during the regular season. He has to stay healthy. Same with Rondale.
Let's talk about something that the Arizona Cardinals are number one in their division, at least. And I'm talking about the good stuff. They're number one as far as lowest beer price in the NFC West. Ooh, look at this. NFC West beer prices. You got the Bay IPA, $11.50. If you go up to Levi's Stadium, you're paying $11.50 on average for a beer. $11 for that Rams Red Ale at in Inglewood. You got that, and then you got the Pacific Northwest Porter, $10.50 to go watch a potentially last place team, the Seahawks, and then $6.50, $4. Like we're looking at a $4 difference basically for the Arizona Cardinals as far as their average beer sale in State Farm Stadium. Like good on Michael Bidwell for this, because if things do go south, at least you know where you can go. Can you imagine if you're watching a team like, because the highest, the most expensive beer in the NFL, guys, is in Washington. Can you imagine going and watching that team for $14 a beer, trying to watch Carson Wentz just fail on the field for 60 minutes? $14.
In all fairness, I got to be pissed drunk to watch the Cardinals play at home last year. Thankfully, hopefully this year we get it turned around and you're playing with house money, buying $6.50 beers. Cardinals start ranking up the victories at home in 2022. We'll see that inflation. That'll jump up to $8.50 next year. And I will happily pay it, Bo, if they have a better showing at home in 2022. That Seattle beer price, can we see that one more time, Leah? That is so egregious. Well, first of all, Bo, you spent some time in the Washington area. Like that, to me, in the cold weather, watching Geno Smith, and I got to pay nearly $11 per beer. I think I'll stay at my house. The 12th man soon becomes 11.5 because I'm not showing up if I'm a Seattle fan.
I think especially with Seattle and Santa Clara, you've got some beer snobbiness going on, and they probably they're being too cute with their beer, where you just need to keep it simple. Get your Bud Lights, your CL Smooths, your Coors Lights out there, your Miller Lights, save some coin and get a couple more instead of the big bomber of the IPA and pay out the ass for it.
Cardinal Sin in the chat real fast. He says, I figure the Lions would have the highest beer sales. Poor bastards. They have the lowest in terms of price. They only charge $5. As Frank cracks the cold one, spills it all over the. This is why Frank.
That could go well in the studio.
The Detroit Lions charge $5 per beer because, of course, they should. Those bad boys should be free after how many losing seasons in a row.
Hey, I get this. I go get it out. I get this out the refrigerator. Who shook this up and stuck it back? That's my concern right now. Who shook this up? Like Frank. He'll get that beer when he goes.
Those are new too. We didn't have Bud Heavies when we did the draft show, or we would have been partaking in them. Let's get to some of these comments here. The beer might cost more than Seattle's tickets. That's a great point. That's something we should track at the end of the year. If they're playing shitty games to end the season at home that mean nothing, but for draft positioning, Phoenix Suns, that's a great point. That's total BS. Average is not $6.50. So Clay Combe is challenging the article that it does not cost. I think we're talking probably their cheapest option, because my guess is maybe they've got a couple different options to pick from. Garnelson says, Jesus Christ, I'm going to Detroit. Well, that makes one of us, my man. Detroit versus everybody. You cannot find me in the Motor City. Jose saying, I'll take a 6-pack of Cardinals with a whiskey emoji. Well, listen, you cannot have enough alcohol at State Farm Stadium watching Carson Wentz carve up your team on Christmas Day. A couple tall boys will do you some good.
$6.50 at the Cardinals game. Look, let me tell you something. The weather's so great out here. You know for a fact that the fans are sitting outside, man, and they pounding away some good alcohol right now, man. So $6.50, that's kudos for it to be $6.50. I'm surprised. I thought the price was higher. I thought the Cardinals were charging higher prices than that, but I'm glad they're not.
I think I win a couple more home games. Let's see how they do in those 2 Monday night games. And if they win those 2 games, then we'll check the price again.
What's the Cervezas going to be down in Mexico City?
Over under. That'd be a great question. Over under between who will drink more between us or
if we win in Mexico City, we're never coming back. We'll be
That's
2-0.
right.
That's it. It won't be the Arizona Cardinals. It'll be the Mexico City Cardinals. Cardinals, baby.
Cardinals.
That's the week of Thanksgiving. Won't be home to carve the turkey, honey. Just hanging out, Mexico City. You might as well. That's your Super Bowl, baby. You beat the Niners in Mexico City on Monday Night Football. You're the team of the country now.
You don't have tears in your beer. You got a celebration survey. So there, as far as beating that division rival. Here's how you can actually save yourself some coin. If you don't want to break the bank at the beer stand, get with our new partner, OGs. OGs Brands. Yeah, Frank's got the stickers on his PHNX Locker shirt there. OGs is Arizona's first original scratch-made cannabis kitchen, and it's dedicated to creating innovative and memorable cannabis-infused products that flavor life's journey. Quality of the products stem from the combination of accurate dosing and amazing flavor. Edibles are not a one-size-fits-all product, which is why OGs is proud to offer a wide range of products for all demographics and preferences. Their motto is flavoring life, and that's something we can get behind. Let's get tropical. They've got their tropical flavors, which are incredible: strawberry, kiwi, raspberry, orange, pina colada. You want to venture from maybe the tropical flavors, maybe get like a orange creamsicle gummies, which tastes like a damn ice cream truck coming through your neighborhood, and you're just paying whatever your parents are willing to give you to go to the ice cream truck, but it's a beautiful, delicious tasting gummy. OGs seeks to focus on life's opportune moments. Consumer their product. You want to learn more about OGs? Check them out on the web, ogsbrands.com. That's OGEEZ brands.com. Do people still say on the web?
No, no one says that. That's not a thing. No.
On the net?
In the net. Charles Barkley. Put it in the net. Remember, you ever seen that? Okay, never mind. Continue on.
Also, we're having an incredible time with all these live events. It's awesome, and we want to keep it going right now. COVID-19 vaccines are free for everyone 5 and older. Those 12 and older are also eligible for the booster. Visit azhealth.gov/find vaccine for a location near you.
Oh, man. We are just loving life here at PHNX Cardinals. So fired up. Ian Rappaport, Rap Sheet earlier this week. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. We've got a guest next week we're excited to share with you here in the coming days. Go to the PHNX merchandise locker now, not mañana, now. Go PHNX.com is the website. Become a member. 50 cents for the first month, $8.99 for the subsequent month. To get a free t-shirt from our PHNX merchandise locker, like the one I'm repping right here, maybe we're just effing better. Get the lid, you get a free t-shirt, you get a membership for the year, just under $60. Get this hat, the hottest hat in the Valley, bar none. We got black ones, white options, anything you want at the PHNX merchandise locker. We got a lot of people asking as we wrap up this show, gentlemen. Where's the news? Where's the signing? We touched on it a little bit with some cap dialogue earlier in the week. We figured the Cardinals post June 1st are going to be busy. They're going to have Jordan Phillips's money free up. So I'll just put you guys on the spot here. Frank, I'll start with you because I love to do that. Cardinals make one big move. What position of need are you targeting?
Defensive line. I'm thinking defensive line. That's an obvious right now. We got to make sure we have good backups. We did well in the draft with a couple of guys, but I think you still need to have some veteran leadership there. Defensive line off the top. Not only that is because I'm not sure if we're gonna get a full season out of JJ. That's my biggest concern right now, and I know he's in his last 4 or 5 years. Something has kind of stumped him, and he hasn't been able to finish the season. So hopefully we can get a full year. But if he's not able, you got to get another well-known guy that can that can create havoc, and you got to be willing to pay him that money, somewhere between the numbers of 9 and 15 million, because JJ is making about 20, I believe. I can be correct, stand corrected on that.
Yeah.
19. So I mean, if he's in that area, you got to be willing to pay for a big name guy right now, and the guys know that what their value is on the market. So defensive line, I'm looking at either interior or definitely on the outside as an edge guy.
Going with the defensive secondary, I'm going to take a cornerback just because of who's available at both positions. I do agree that they could use some veteran presence to get after the quarterback, but in the defensive secondary, that's where they are a little green. Like I think it was Kyle Odegaard who used to cover the team, posting today that between Byron Murphy and Jeff Gladney and Marco Wilson, when those guys are targeted, you're seeing a QB rating over 100 against every single one of those guys in the defensive secondary. Not exactly great. So if you can get somebody, and then there's still bodies available and guys who have played in some big games in this league, you can get a cornerback to kind of be the veteran presence in that league. If it's bring back Robert Alford, I'm here for it. I think that's where they really, that's their need right now. Biggest need remaining.
Yeah, I think I'm going to double down with Frank. I think they're too thin on the defensive line. And I will ride along with Elowin 5 in the chat. Clowney, Hicks, or Sue, please. Akeem Hicks, Ndamukong Suh, Jadeveon Clowney. Any of those guys would fire me up. Even like somebody like Carlos Dunlap, who once upon a time was a really good midseason trade for Seattle. I think was back there on a bad Seattle team last year. Still a free agent. Plenty of rotational defensive linemen. Go get one, Steve Keim. He's going to do that. I want everybody here to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. If you would, please smash that like button. We will be back tomorrow, mañana, for our Friday show. Myself, Frank Bulbrock, Damian Anderson's back. He's going to join us as well. Until then, we will see you mañana. Bye, everybody.